I have a secret list of books that you should not read if you don't want your life to change. And at the top of that list is this book. Hey, I'm Monica. Welcome to my channel, A Year of Living Boldly. Today I want to tell you about one of my favorite books. And that is pretty high praise because I am a book nerd. I have always been a huge reader ever since I was a kid. That's all I wanted for Christmas and birthdays was books. I would read constantly on the bus, at any job I've had. I would read on the bench in the dugout when I played softball. You would find me there reading. So yeah, I'm a huge bookworm. And I've also always been a huge fan of nonfiction books. So like psychology, self-help, business, biography, philosophy, spirituality, all of that. I've read so many books in those categories and I can't even count the number. I have a secret list of books that you should not read if you don't want your life to change. And at the top of that list is this book. It's called The Art of Possibility: Transforming Professional and Personal Life by Rosamund Zander and Benjamin Zander. The authors of this book are a married couple, and Ben Zander is a conductor and a music teacher, and Roz Zander is a coach and a writer. She has another book that she was the author of. So together they authored this book, and it is just such a special book. I don't even know how to describe it. I guess you could say it's like a self-help personal growth book, but it's so different than any other self-help book I've ever read that label just doesn't even do it justice. I feel like it transcends the genre because it's about relationships, it's about leadership, it's about business, it's about creativity. It could just be its own category. Yeah, this book has been featured very prominently on my blog and my own writing because it's still teaching me every single day. So there's Aria, my little kitty. So I guess she's gonna be joining me for this video. I think I can give you an idea of what this book is about by reading a quote from page 9. A shoe factory sends 2 marketing scouts to a region of Africa to study the prospects for expanding business. One sends back a telegram saying, "Situation hopeless, stop, no one wears shoes." The other writes back triumphantly, "Glorious business opportunity, stop, they have no shoes." That little story right there demonstrates what this book aims to teach. It aims to teach you how to be the second one who sees opportunity instead of hopelessness, who sees possibility instead of doom. And this book really does. Not only does it teach you, and it's about that, but it helps you experience it as you're reading it. It's magical. I've never read a book like this. So today I want to share with you 3 of the practices that this book teaches that have had the most impact on me and my journey on A Year of Living Boldly. The first one, and maybe my favorite one, is "It's all invented." So this is a catchphrase that the authors use to remind you of a concept that they go into more detail in. So the idea of "it's all invented" is that we see the world through our own personal lens, and our lens is subject to bias because of the way the human brain works. So instead of actually seeing an objective reality, we see it through a story we're telling ourselves about that reality. He has an amazing demonstration of this and how it affects us in the book that I don't want to spoil for you. So I highly recommend getting a copy yourself, and this is in the first chapter. It's worth it, honestly. It's worth it even just for this one thing. But basically he demonstrates how we assume unconsciously we have assumptions about rules and the way we can behave and act. And he shows that those rules aren't even real. They're implied because of the way our minds work. So we operate as if these rules are real when in fact they're just invented by our own minds. So it's all invented is a reminder that everything we think is real, everything we think is set in stone or is a rule, are actually just fabrications. They're fictions that our minds just created. And it's empowering because when we remember it's all invented, then we are free to invent something else, something new, something that actually empowers us and serves us. I actually wrote a blog post about this, so I'll link that in the descriptions if you want to check it out. This one is especially powerful for me because as I've been reflecting on myself this year, I realized that I have a really strong tendency to imagine and obey rules that aren't even real. But my mind just creates these boundaries and limitations for me. So when I remind myself it's all invented, then I'm like, I'm free because the rules aren't real. I've just made them up. So in the book, he sums this up with a question, a set of 2 questions. What assumption am I making that I'm not aware I'm making that gives me what I see? So key there is being aware. So you really do need to increase your awareness of the rules that you've invented. And when you haven't answered that question, he says, ask yourself this one. What might I now invent that I haven't yet invented that would give me other choices? When I answered those 2 questions for myself and I realized the rules I was inventing, and then I was free to invent something else that would actually free me from those rules. So I invented permission, which you can read more about on my blog. My second favorite insight from The Art of Possibility is called Giving an A. In his role as a music teacher, Ben Zander noticed that a lot of his students were so stressed out about grades that they really weren't free to just explore and play music with passion. They were so concerned about getting an A that it overrode their creativity. So putting into practice the first principle that I talked about, it's all invented, he realized that he could invent something that would help the students be more free to focus on music instead of stressing about grades. So what did he invent? He decided to give all of the students at the very beginning of the year to just give them an A right from the start. He was creative with it though, because he had one requirement they had to fulfill. They had to write him a letter. So the class started in September and they had to write a letter dated in May. They were writing from their future self, looking back over the year, and they had to start out the letter with, "Dear Mr. Zander, I got my A because," and then they had to write explaining how they got their A, and he emphasized that they should focus on who they would have become by the end of the semester. And he also told them to fall passionately in love with the person they were describing. So because he realized that when it comes to grades, it's all invented anyway, and he realized he could invent something that would actually help his students succeed and help them thrive. So he decided to just invent this assignment and give them all an A up front and encourage them to see the possibilities. Through writing their letter, they could explore who they would become and how they earned their A. What challenges and obstacles did they overcome? What breakthroughs did they have? He got them to explore that and imagine that ahead of time. And then he said the effect was that all the students in his classes, he was teaching the person they described in their letters. So he actually freed them to be the person they wanted to be. So I have applied this concept in my life in a couple different ways. One, I've written letters saying how I got my A for different things in my life that were challenging or that I was anxious about. So I actually used this practice to write about how I got my A for a year of living boldly. And I posted that on my blog as well. So you can check that out in the description. I'll link to that as well. And it is very empowering and liberating to see yourself succeeding and describe how you succeeded and who you became in the process. It's a powerful way to remind you of your mission and your vision. The other way I've applied this, and they do go into it in depth in that chapter, is giving an A to other people in your life. So a lot of times we react to people and treat them as if they are not measuring up to our standards. I know I especially do this with my partner, where I see how he's failing to meet my expectations and I end up treating him really badly. But as I've learned from the art of possibility, it's always better to give someone an A without them even having to earn it. Because when you give them an A automatically, you assume the best in them. You treat them as if they are on your side, that you're on the same team and you're there to collaborate. So you don't treat them like it's a competition or me versus them or like they're the enemy. You treat them as someone who's already earned an A in your book and someone who's worthy of that. They're worthy of your respect and your care. So if you treat them like they already have an A in your book, they will likely not even meet the expectations you had. They will surpass them and you'll be amazed. The third insight from this book I want to share is called being a contribution. In the art of possibility, they describe being a contribution as a game that is invented, going along with that first one. So they were talking about how we play this game of success and failure, and we see things as a competition, and that's really just a game we're playing, and it doesn't have to be that way. So the alternative that they suggest is called being a contribution. So in the book, the practice for being a contribution has only 2 steps. So I'll just share those with you. The steps to the practice are these. 1, declare yourself to be a contribution. 2, throw yourself into life as someone who makes a difference, accepting that you may not understand how or why. It sounds like such a simple idea, but it actually is a radical shift in mindset. To go from striving for success or aiming to win to just wanting to be a contribution is a huge shift. I am actually applying that to my life right now by making this video about this book, because I could concern myself with what other people think of me, how I don't know how to make a YouTube video, or any number of different things. But instead, I'm focusing on being a contribution and showing up and giving what I can. Thank you for watching, and I really do hope that if you're looking for a different type of self-help book, or if you're intrigued after watching this video, I really recommend getting The Art of Possibility by the Zanders. And that's how I got my A for my first YouTube video.